Our recent cruise on the NCL Viva took us all the way from Istanbul to Athens, and just to be clear, I'm talking about the one with all the historical ruins and feta cheese, and not the one with the bulldogs and sweet tea. That would have been a much different cruise. Our last day on board actually began with us being politely asked to not leave the ship, which is something that's never happened to me before.
So please do not proceed to deck 4 at this time. We thank you for your understanding and cooperation.
Apparently, 5 ships all docking at the same time was just a little bit too much for the infrastructure there, and we were told to park it in a lounge and don't get up until they tell us. Kind of felt like being in a timeout, but like a very luxurious air-conditioned timeout. After about 2 hours of waiting, disembarkation continued. The situation on land was still kind of tricky. Faced with waiting perhaps another hour in a huge line for a taxi to get into the city, we decided to just use the public transportation, and that is the journey that you and I, with the help of Google Maps and some recordings I took along the way, will be going on together today. It's Sunday, July 27th, 2025, and on this week's edition of Sunday Sofa Time, we're taking the train into Athens.
Just like the wind, just let it pass through, just let it pass you. You do what you
I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. I've been making travel videos for over 15 years of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. My 2 books have been enjoyed by thousands of travelers around the world. If you like to read and want to give me a little extra support, check them out on Amazon now. Alright, take a look at this overhead view of the port in Piraeus. The ships dock at Terminal A, B, and C, and which custom buildings you will go through and come out on depends on where your ship will be docked. We were at C, which is over here, but we were bussed up here to A. This is the building where our suitcases were waiting for us, and the train station, or should I say train stations, plural, are over here. Once you get to the train station, getting into the city is super easy and pretty self-explanatory. The part that we found a little bit challenging, being kind of unprepared for the situation, was how do we get to the train station? I would say if you're just visiting Athens for the day as a port stop and you're not finishing your cruise there, so you're not lugging tons of luggage, and if you're very mobile, then it's about a mile walk from there to the train station, and it's totally doable unless it's 400 degrees, which happens very often in the summer in the Mediterranean. There are taxis waiting outside the port buildings, but there's 2 problems with the taxis in this scenario. The first one is when 10,000 cruise passengers all descend on a port at the same time, the situation at the taxi stands can be overwhelming. And the second problem is the distance from the port to the train station in Piraeus is so short, no taxi driver is going to want to take you there. They'll offer to drive you all the way into the city or all the way to the airport, but if you say you just want to go to the Piraeus train stop, they're not going to take you. A taxi into the city will only cost you around 30 euros, which isn't that bad if you're splitting it, but depending on how many ships are in port, you might be waiting over an hour to get into a taxi, and the train only takes around 20 minutes once you get in the train. By the way, a single journey on the train only costs $120. That's how much a single journey is good for 90 minutes, and a day ticket is $410. Which is a really good deal. And if you're gonna go to the airport, there's an upcharge of 10 euros that's automatically added to your ticket, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Okay, I know that's a lot of information. This is kind of the way I explain things here. I could make this video in 30 seconds, but that's not fun. And so now you're probably asking yourself,
well, if he didn't walk because he had his suitcases and he didn't take a taxi because they wouldn't take him, how did he get there? Fly?
No, we took the bus.
You rushing across the main street.
In order to get the city bus that will easily take you to the train station, you need to leave the port area and cross the street. This is something we found just a little bit confusing, but now that I've done it, it's really easy. One of the confusing things is, in the port area, there are bus stops, but I think those are just for the shuttle buses that go between the cruise terminals. It doesn't take you into the city. So check out the map here again. You have to go out of the port area and walk down a street called Akti Miauli. This is the street that runs parallel to the port, and then you just cross over the street, walk towards the city, and the bus stops are a little bit further down. You can take bus 826, 843, or 859. All of them will take you directly in front of the metro station. What about buying a ticket? Okay, first of all, don't ask the bus driver. There are machines in the buses that are super easy. You use your contactless payment. I just use my phone. You can also hold your credit card on there. The machines in the bus have arrows, so you can select a ticket, scan your card, and you're done. Nothing gets printed out. Don't worry. Somehow they save the information on your phone. By the way, if you're going to be getting in and out of buses and trains in one day, it's important that you always scan the same phone or the same card for each person. Otherwise, you're going to be charged every time. A single ticket is good for 90 minutes, so if you transfer within those 90 minutes and scan the same card, it doesn't cost you anything extra. If you scan a different card, you're just going to be charged again. Somehow your card is saved in the system and they know where you were and what you did that day, and that's how they kind of send you the bill at the end. How do they know? Ask Obama. Okay, so you've left the port, you've crossed over the street, you've walked down a little ways to the bus stop, you got in the bus, you scanned your phone to get a ticket, and then it's just about 6 or 7 stops to get to the metro train station. There's going to be a lot of people exiting the bus here, so that will be a clue. This is what the metro station looks like from the outside. And here's something that was a little bit confusing to us. When you look at the aerial view from Google Maps, you'll see there's another train station just like a block away. That's the train station for the regional trains. We're not talking about that in this video. We're talking about the easy and affordable metro. Inside the metro station, you don't have to use the ticket machines. You can also just scan your card on the turnstile. Even if you walked there and didn't buy a ticket in the bus, you just hold your card or your phone on the turnstile, the doors will open, and you're in. There are 2 metro train lines that stop at the Piraeus port. The green number 1 and the blue number 3. Both will take you into the city, but only the blue line goes to the airport. The station for the blue number 1 train is above in the white building, and the green number 3 train is underground down these steps. By the way, the trains themselves are not blue or green. That's just for the map and for the signs in the station. I didn't want you to be like,
Chris, what are you doing? Don't get in that train. It's brown. He said we needed the blue train.
Don't worry, they're signs. You're gonna be fine. And in fact, you can get into any number 1 train at the Piraeus station because it's the end stop and they are all going into the city. The number 3 does go 1 stop in the other direction, so there is a little bit of a chance that you could get into the train going the wrong direction, which is called Demotico Teatro. Worst case scenario, you get into the 3 going the wrong direction. It's going to go 1 stop and then you're going to have to exit the train anyways, and then you'll just cross the platform, get into the other train, and go back the other way. Not that big of a deal. Depending on which line you use, the journey takes about 20 minutes to Monastiraki. That is the stop I would recommend. The blue line takes longer, but still, I would just get into whichever train comes first, unless of course you're going to the airport. In that case, you can only take the blue number 3. The ride on the green number 1 train is partially above ground, and the closer you get to the city, it does go underground for some of the stops. It felt light and safe, and when we entered in Piraeus, it was pretty empty, but the closer we got to the city, it filled up a little bit. Of course, if you're using the train during morning or evening rush hour or on weekends or some holiday, then they can be very crowded, especially when you get into the city. As mentioned, I would recommend going to Monastiraki. There are plenty of tourist-friendly restaurants around. Hadrian's Library is there. There's a great view of the Acropolis. We've always found Athens to be very tourist-friendly, and one nice thing about being in Athens compared to the Greek islands is the prices in Athens are much more affordable usually than on the islands. On our afternoon stop on the way to the airport, we got a table full of tapas, including fried cheese, a salad, zucchini fritters, some more cheese, olives, bread, and all this was only $33.50. Looking at this right now is making me so hungry. Do you like Greek food? I'm such a cheese lover, and what a better place to try goat cheese and feta cheese in all of its variations than Greece, right? And if you're staying in Athens for a couple days before or after your cruise, which I can highly recommend. And I would also suggest looking for a hotel close to or around Monastiraki. Well, after we stuffed ourselves on all that tasty food, we lugged our suitcases back down into the metro, followed the signs to the airport train, and began the around 50-minute journey from the city out to the airport. The journey from the port to the airport takes about an hour and 20 minutes, and let me just inform you fellow old people, hour and 20 minutes, and there are no bathrooms on these trains. I'm just saying. If you're worried about finding the right train to the airport, you don't have to be worried. There are signs all over the place that say airport, and you don't have to worry about missing the stop of the airport because it's the last stop. So you basically get into the train in the city that says airport, and then you ride it until the end. When you're entering the train in the city, no matter what time of day it is, it's always going to be more crowded than when you enter at the port. And we found that some of the trains that go to the airport have luggage racks in the cars, and if you can, it's better to put your suitcases in there. Remember, not everyone in Athens is there on vacation. Some of them are just trying to get to work or back home or to school or back home. Not everybody's going to be happy if they have to climb over your Samsonite in order to get a seat. A couple more bits of information. Remember, no bathrooms on the train. Don't expect it to be a cool, crisp, air-conditioned 65 degrees. Expect an open window and a draft. If it's crowded, when you're getting into the train, wait for the doors to open, wait for people to come out first, and then get into the train, and then get into the train. What I mean is, a lot of people who are not used to using public transportation like this, when they realize the train is there and it's the right train, the doors will open and then they'll step in and stop. That's like bad public transportation etiquette number one. There's most likely going to be other people wanting to get into the train, so you get into the train and like continue walking. Can you tell I've lived in major cities for a while? As mentioned, the airport is the final stop, and don't worry if the train gets really empty. After about 5 or 6 stops on the way out of the city, it's basically just people going to the airport left in the train anyways. Remember, once you get there, you're going to have to scan your phone again or your card again, and that's how it works. And if you want to do it from the airport into the city or to the port, well, then just watch this video backwards. Has any of this been helpful or entertaining to you? If you've enjoyed watching this, please consider subscribing if you haven't done it yet, and of course, give me a thumbs up. Every week during the week, I post a travel vlog, and on the weekends, I post videos like this. And your subscriptions, your thumbs up, your comments, your support on Patreon or as a channel member here, your buying of my books, and especially reviewing them on Amazon, that's all such a huge help, keeps this channel going, and makes me happy. In next week's Sunday Sofa Time, we're going to talk about the MPC and global entry programs, which you can use to get a more expedited return or entry into the United States, perhaps after your Mediterranean cruise. These are 2 things I have 0 experience with, but I'm going to be trying one of them in just a couple days, so stay tuned to see how that goes. Oh my gosh, people, that went so quick. And let me thank you for spending this part of your Sunday, or whatever day it is you choose to watch this, with me. I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. See you next week.
So until next time, I'll leave alone just like that. I'm back to being sober.